Now that you have the Picoscope software downloaded, let's open it up and we'll get started on how to set up the scope. It's okay if you don't have the actual hardware. This allows you to run this as a demo device, so just say yes. And once it opens, it will give you a signal that is generated from within the software. So here we have this waveform kind of jumping around here. We'll talk about how to get this set up so we can read it a little better. But just so you know, this is normal. This is how it sets up. We've got 4 channels here, A, B, C, and D. And then there's this little one on the very end that this is only available when you're running this demo. This allows you to select the type of signal that you want to use on the scope. So for example, if we wanted to have a cam sensor signal, we could do that. We're just going to stick with the injector voltage for now. So just a quick tutorial on this. Down here on the bottom, you'll notice 2 little buttons, a green play button and a red square meaning stop. So what we're going to do, we're going to stop this for now. You'll notice that the capture went away, and we're going to talk about how to set this up. So 3 simple things to remember. On the vertical axis here, we have our voltage scale, and on the horizontal axis here, we have our time frame. Scopes are always going to be set up this way, whether it's a Pico or any other scope. You're going to have your voltage level and your time base in that order. In order to set one of these up, the first thing you'll want to do is come in here, and first is to choose the probe or the tool that you're going to be using. So by selecting channel A, that's going to be the port on the tool that you're going to be using, channel A, and we're going to select the probe that we would like. So the first thing is we have all of these options. I'm not going to go through all of these. The most standard one you'll want to choose is the 1X. This just means that if you have 5 volts coming into the probe, you'll be getting 5 volts on the screen, and this will magnify it. There are other tools you can hook up. You might have a current clamp that will clamp around a wire to measure current in the circuit. There are pressure transducers that you can hook up into to measure pressure in a fuel rail or something like that, or in a cylinder. And then you have higher rating current clamps. So there's all types of different probes and tools that you can get for these. But we're going to just focus on this simple one right here. It's probably the most common one you'll use. So the first thing is select your probe. The second thing that you want to do is choose the range. Now the range is how much voltage are we measuring. And what you're going to do is that's going to be this next box next to us here. This one right now says auto, but if you click on the down arrow, it brings us up a whole range of different scales we can look at. So right now we're on plus or minus 5 volts, meaning our scale goes up to 5 volts. If you're looking at a 12 volt system, you probably typically want to choose a plus or minus 20 volt range, just to make sure that we're not going off the screen. You'll notice that when I change this 20 volts, it didn't change here until I start recording, and then it implements the changes that I've made. So we're going to just stick with the plus or minus 5 volts for our application. And then the third thing you're going to do is select the time base that we want to have on the screen. So right now we have in each square 5 milliseconds. So we have a total of 50 milliseconds across the screen. In order to slow things down, we want to kind of stay away from the nanoseconds, the microseconds, and the milliseconds, and stay in the seconds range. This means that the time will go slower across the screen, and it will be easier to capture what you're looking for. So if we slow this down and say we go to 2 seconds per division, let's see what happens. But you'll notice now each one of these waveform squares, each one of these squares is equivalent to 2 seconds. So it takes 10 seconds or 20 seconds for it to come across the screen. Now, we have this waveform here, and we have our injector waveform. We've captured this, and now we can stop and go in here and look at this, and we'll show you how to zoom in and analyze a waveform in our next video.